Hi guys. So I welcome everyone to the OdinTalk session of this weekend. And yeah, so as you all know, the topic that we'll be discussing for today's OdinTalks is application of AI and ML at business implementing problems. So hi Shruti ma'am, yeah. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, everybody. Hi, everyone. Very warm welcome to you. Another session of Odin Talks. Hi,
Hi,
Anshuman.
hi, Smriti. Can you see me?
Yes, we can see you. We can hear you. Very warm welcome to you.
Thank you very much.
Um, I would give a very brief introduction of Angshuman, but Angshuman, we would like to hear from you more about your work in the data science space. Angshuman is currently the AVP AI solutions at Adani Group. Um, but before that, he's basically an entrepreneur. He had a startup, Sibia Analytics and Consulting Services, which got acquired by Adani Group, and that is how he's now part of Adani Group. But then he comes with a lot of experience in analytics and AI ML space. So Anshuman, over to you. Please help us understand a little more about your journey within this domain, and then we will go into discussing other topics, other issues.
Sure, Smriti. Thank you. And firstly, thanks for inviting me in this session. I'll be happy if my experience and knowledge can add a little value to any of these panelists. That will be my takeaway from here. Uh, yeah, so I started my career in analytics way back in 2003. So it's about 20 years I'm in this domain. Uh, the first 12 works I worked for various companies as a delivery person, as a modeler, and a good amount of time as a product developer. So my first job was with Symphony Services, where our clients are based in US, and I have been working in the US CPG, that's a consumer packaged goods business, uh, from there. Uh, and I have worked with top clients in the US market. I mean, PepsiCo, General Mills, Safeway as a retailer, SC Johnson, Clorox, Conagra, Kellogg's, all these companies I worked for. Then I shifted to Cognizant. In Cognizant, I was part of the very initial analytics team that they was being created during 2008 and 9. Uh, I was part of that, and then I moved to Wipro, and in Wipro, I was again part of the founding team of the Wipro Analytics. But it was quite an interesting journey. That in the next 2 years' time, we grew this team to about 170 member team, and that I'm talking about in 2009, 10, and 11. Now, so about working for 12 years in these companies. In 2014, I set up CBA Analytics. I was a single founder company, and I built this company, and we primarily worked in the Indian market to start with. Later, we also have worked in the Southeast Asian market. And again, my focus or our focus in that company was primarily in the consumer brands, FMCG, retail kind of companies. So that was my journey as a practitioner and later as an entrepreneur. By 2020, 22, I mean late last year, uh, we got an offer from the Adani Group for being acquired, and we signed the deal. And so from January 23 onwards, we are part of the Adani AI labs that are being created. Here I am working as the head of solutions, and we are serving both Adani businesses as well as international, I mean, in external businesses in India and US markets. So that's my role. Right now, I'm focusing on building a number of solutions which will take to market very soon. So
Great,
that's
great.
the journey. Yeah.
Congratulations on being acquired. I know it's been 9 months, and I'm sure
Mhm.
you must have been doing very well to have been acquired. A very rich body of work, and we are looking forward to picking your brains and understanding a little more about these domains of work. So to start with, let us start with a very fundamental question. Okay, so just to give you a context, we have more than 230 participants right now in this room, and in the next 5-10 minutes, I'm sure it's going to increase a little more. So all these people are enthusiastic about data sciences and data analytics, and many of them are in the process of career transition. They are coming from different other backgrounds and trying to shift into data analytics and data domain, and many of them do have aspirations of getting into the AI ML space going forward, right? So the question that I would start with is, what are the technologies involved in the application of AI and ML models? If somebody has to get into this space, what are the fundamental technologies that they need to be aware of, and what are the technologies that they should start learning to get to the AI ML level? Considering that we are from non-IT right now.
Great question. Now, AI, ML, or analytics is not a single solution, right? There's a whole spectrum of solution that we require to build a project. Now, the way I see it, it starts from data wrangling, capturing data from various sources, building a database or a data mart. From there, one way is to use the data through various visualization software. The other side is that we build models, etc. Uh, and then there are deep learning methods, etc. And then finally, the cutting edge generative AI that we are coming. Now, across the spectrum, I would say there are various softwares or programming languages that will be useful. I would start with basic database management, which can be SQL-based databases. So, a lot of people uses SQL Server, Microsoft SQL Server. There are other SQL like the MySQL kind of implementations also. So this SQL, knowledge of SQL or database is one of the primary thing. And I believe that this knowledge of SQL is cuts across the whole spectrum of data analysis. So I would suggest this is the primary uh, technology that one should learn. I remember my boss in Wipro used to tell one thing that SQL can be an analyst-based friend. So learning SQL can be very useful. Then people who want to build careers on uh, data visualization, uh, presenting data in various business specific formats, generating insights out of this data, etc. For them, Power BI, Tableau, ClickView. I think these three are the top choices, and at the same and these order. So Power BI has the highest acceptance right now, followed by Tableau and followed by ClickView. There can be some more, but these three are the primary. But the way I think is that uh, any of this, if you master any of this, say you master Power BI, then Tableau will not be very different. ClickView also will not be very different. So mastering one of them is important. Okay, then this is the data visualization. When it goes to modeling, etc., I think right now the de facto language is Python. So Python is the base, and on top of that you have NumPy and other Python packages. But Python is the mother language or the de facto package is important. So from a programming perspective, I think these are the most important things. SQL, any of the visualization tool, and Python. And then you also, I believe, whatever path you take, whether you are being a more in data heavy work or a visualization heavy work, and definitely on a modeling heavy work, I think good knowledge of Excel is very, very useful. Okay, so everyone should also have very good deep understanding or deep, capability in Excel. How to read data in Excel, summarizing data using pivot tables, slicer and dicer, and formulas, various types of formulas, etc. As much as you know, it will make your life easy on your day-to-day operations. Presenting something, building charts, uh, you get a model output, but how to visualize that model output using, say, actual versus predicted charts. Maybe knowledge of Excel charts will be very useful. Today itself in our office, there is a project I am involved, and we are kind of breaking our head how to present the data through an waterfall chart. So that is again an interesting thing. So a knowledge of Excel. So these are the technologies one should learn, and then of course the new age technologies that is coming in, the generative AI technologies, Chat GPT, Bird, uh, and the prompt engineering, which is becoming very important uh, day by day. So these are the set of knowledge or the bodies of technologies one should master to
Right.
become a valuable analyst or a data scientist professional.
Right. What is a kind of career path, for somebody who starts as a data analyst right now, for them to reach AI engineer or that sort of level, or a data scientist level? What is a career graph like?
So there could be various career graphs. Uh, I see that there are 3 or 4 types of specialization happens after you start working and move, say, for a few years or so, couple of years or so. So you start with a data analyst. Then, based on your interest, you may graduate or gradually become a data visualization expert. That is one part. The other part is that you become a data scientist, where you build models, various types of machine learning, deep learning, statistical models. Or you can be an AI engineer or machine learning engineer who basically integrate data and these models, which is of course more programming heavy. And finally, you can also become an AI scientist, where you focus on building advanced AI models. So these are the 3, 4 career paths that are emerging out, and one based on their aptitude and interest, one can become take any of the paths. But what I suggest, I think, is that uh, if you want to become a data analyst and then become a business analyst, that path, understanding of business, some understanding of statistics would be very important. If you want to become a data scientist, there also uh, one can one should have a good knowledge of statistics, econometrics, or machine learning techniques, and definitely one can learn. It definitely helps you have a background on that. So you come from statistics or economics, or similar background, computer science background, then maybe you will already know certain things. But even if you do not have, I'm sure if you invest enough time and effort in the early years of your career, you can learn many of those. Okay. I I I studied economics. I did my post graduation in economics and with specialization in econometrics. So I have this knowledge from the beginning. But people who are coming from say a BE background, so they probably have to learn statistics and econometrics and fundamentals of machine learning. Nothing difficult, I would say, but you need to learn this over the time.
Right. So like you said, you come from economics background. You don't come from a computer science engineer background. So that is some of the questions that are coming up here. Can a person of any degree, apart from BE or BTech, also learn analytics and grow in this path? I think that's very much possible. You're an example.
Yes, I mean, in fact, if you look at, I mean, when our career started in 2003 or 4, most of the people in the analytics teams, modeling teams, actually from statistics or economics background. B engineers came much later. But then everybody has learned. Like I did not have a machine learning background. So maybe after 10 years, 10, 15 years of my career, I started learning machine learning and I learned that. So my suggestion is that most of the degrees which has some mathematical orientation, quantitative orientation, uh, should suffice. I know people from who has done masters in physics, uh, people who have, of course, masters of statistics, uh, even BCom, people who studied BCom, they also become very good. I mean, created a very good career in the data analytics domain, and I have many examples for that.
Right. So for all the participants here, your all these doubts about your background, can put it at rest, because it doesn't matter as long as you're developing skills which Anshuman mentioned SQL, Python, Power BI, Tableau, or ClickView, but Power BI being the top, and Excel. If you have good control, good expertise over these technologies, I think that's good enough for you to start off with. Another very interesting question has come up, Anshuman. I'd like to take it at this point of time. What is the difference between an AI engineer and a machine learning engineering role?
In my mind, there is not much of difference. Okay. Uh, the machine learning engineer is a person who integrates the model, the data, and maybe the how the output is being consumed. I give you an example. Say we built a recommendation engine for a say an online retailer, okay, online e-commerce site. So then there is a data in one side, all the transaction data, customer browsing data, etc. there, which is in a database. Uh, Say this is a MongoDB, NoSQL database. Then we have built models, which are basically Python packages or Python pickle files. And then you have to show that recommendation inside the uh, e-commerce pages, right? So someone who integrates these three things is a machine learning engineer. Similarly, an AI engineer is also doing the very similar thing. But in case of an AI engineer, he may be rather than integrating that into an e-commerce page or something like that, he's building the application itself. He's building a simulation application or he's building a chatbot kind of application. So, but the data and the model, pickle file, etc., remains the same. So, not much of difference. And my guess is that all the machine learning engineers today, in next couple of years' time, will graduate into a AI engineer itself.
Okay. All right. Great. So, since you've worked across different domains, you've been in e-commerce, you've been in BFSI and different domains, could you help us understand the applications of AI and ML, probably using some case studies, examples from different domains of now that our students are learning these technologies, what are the actual applications of AI ML across different domains?
See, honestly, lot of applications are there. And if I look back my career, maybe few hundred case studies I have done. But let me take up a very common and interesting ones. The first one comes to my mind is a recommendation engine. Now, it's a very generic thing, but a recommendation engine can be anywhere. Say you are watching Netflix or Amazon Prime and you log in. What do you see? That first it shows, say, today's hot picks. Then it shows what you are currently watching. These two are common, comes from the data. But then it shows a lot of recommendations for you. Because you have seen this movie, that so he's recommending five other movies. Because you have seen this series, it's recommending another five series. Okay, so this is what we call a recommendation engine. And the same thing happens when you go and purchase from Amazon or Flipkart. You go to a page, select a product, then a number of products comes. Like people who bought these also bought that. Then we think you may like these products and various combinations, right? So these are what we call recommendations. You are getting a recommendations uh, for your purchase or for your media consumption. It is said that Amazon generates about 35% its business from this recommendation. So you wanted to go and buy, say, one uh, book, just because you saw another book in recommendation, you buy it. So every three times you are buying one product, you wanted to buy a product, you end up buying another one. So that is a 33% growth in the sales because of the recommendation. So that's why recommendations are very important. There was also a statistic that Netflix, people are hooked to Netflix. The reason is that Netflix recommendations are so imperative for you. They said that 70% of the consumption happens, I mean, the view happens because of the recommendation. And I have seen it myself that I wanted to see, and at some point of time in my life, I was somehow interested in watching war movies. And of course, I have a few movies in mind. I started watching that in Netflix. And then Netflix keep giving me recommendation. I started browsing and I keep watching. And then I found that over a period of 3 or 4 months time, I watched about 60 movies. And I did not know about them. I probably have heard of 5 or 10 movies, but the another 50 came just from the recommendation. And I kept watching them. So this is the power of recommendation. This is one very important use case of AI or ML. So what it does, uh, it first tries to understanding who the customer is. The customer, what he purchased earlier, what he has browsed earlier, and then it puts him in a particular peer group. What is the age? What is the probable expenses you would make, spend you would make? What are the choice and preferences? What time of the day? What day of week or what week of month he buys? Is it a festival time? And then what festival and what are the related products? Analyzing all these, they come up with these recommendations. So that little recommendations you see, there's a huge science and engineering goes behind that. So that is building recommendation engine. So it incorporates a lot of types of analytics. And incidentally, what happened is that the last several years, I would say last 6, 7 years, I have been very closely associated with multiple recommendation engine modeling. We have seen that we use clustering technology, we use a priori algorithm or the market basket or the association rule mining kind of technologies. Uh, then there are other forecasting methods that are used. Uh, Segmentation, I already said. Behavioral analysis, like what is the right time to send a recommendation. Frequency analysis, all these come. So recommendation engine is a very interesting case where you combine multiple methodologies to build a solution. So that is very interesting use case, and a lot of recommendation engines are being built these days. Number one, that's the first use case. Second use case, again we all know, we all get it SMS on WhatsApp about our credit score. Okay, even in India, there are 4, 5 agencies who gives you credit score. TransUnion, Freeze, and some other. So, and you can check your credit score free. Uh, I mean, right now, I think this is free. For the basic score card, you get a free one. But how these credit score are generated? How do you know that I am 700 out of 900 and you are 800 out of 900? How they create that? So there is also a lot of analysis goes behind that. Primarily, what they try to do is to understand your credit history. How many times you have taken a loan? How many times you are using a credit card? How many times there was a credit card bill and you have paid? And how many times you have not paid? What is your source of income? How often you get the income? And where you spend money? All these data, what happens is that we call them the credit bureaus. The credit bureau collect the data across all banking channels. So say you have an HDFC Bank account, you have an SBI credit card, you have a Bank of Baroda personal loan. Wherever you take, the credit bureau has all the data. And then they combine, and then from analyzing them, they build the credit score. And behind that, what they actually do is that how to a credit score is nothing but telling someone good or bad, or giving a ranking, say in a scale of 0 to 900. I think 100 to 900 in India, they give you a ranking. And how they, sorry, it is 300 to 900. And how they do it? So there, the most important method goes behind the credit scoring is logistic regression and sometimes decision trees. So basically, they try to predict what is the probability that you will be able to pay your next credit card dues in time. That based on analyzing historically people, all those people who have defaulted, who could not pay in time, against all those people who have not defaulted or paid in time, and then analyzing all their data, building a logistic regression out of there. Okay, so this is another very common case study, and a lot of credit scores are being built. Sometimes the banks themselves build their own score. So this is another use case in the BFSI domain. Uh, Another very common and useful use case is demand forecasting. Say you are a brand, you have say 200 products and you sell it through various channels. You sell it in Flipkart, in Amazon. There are 500 store who sells your product. There are 200 distributors who sells your product and all this. Now, how do you know what is the demand? How much I'll be able to sell next month, month after that, and another month, 3 months down the line. Uh, and if we think many of the products or most of the products are also their demand is also a function of various external factors, like say apparels. Apparels are sold mostly in the festive time. Okay, uh, and then winter apparels will be sold during winter or just before the winter. After winter, there will be no demand for them. Nobody buys a sweater or jacket in the month of April in India. So when you are forecasting the demand, you just cannot look at only the internal data that how much you have sold last 7 months or last 2 years, but you have to also need to know when the festival season is coming, when the winter is hitting, when the winter will be, the summer will hit. So based on all this information, you build uh, models to predict the forecast more accurately. And this is very important and interesting. Just think that you cannot just forecast at a high level or all India level because you have to send the product to every part, every major metro cities, every town, every district. So even if I consider that you sell to 50% of the market, that is still 300 districts. And every district they have two dealers or distributors, then there are 600% you have to sell. And you have 200 products. So it's a 600 into 200 is the scale of the problem. You have to make as many forecasts because every product is unique. If there's a demand for product A, you have to predict for demand for product A. You cannot use product B's demand for that most of the time. So this is the scale of the problem. Now, what technology goes into? Of course, it's a time series data, so all time series methodologies will go. Number one. Then there are external factors. So how the external factors are impacting when the festival season is uh, hitting. And if since I work in India, I have been working in India for about a decade now. Indian markets, every state has a different festival. Say Diwali is in November this time, but Durga Puja for say Bengalis or West Bengal, it's in October. So that means the Durga Puja demand, the West Bengal will have a demand earlier than the rest of India. Now Diwali is not very a big thing in many of the southern states. Southern states have their own uh, festivals. So there maybe Diwali is not important. Another festival is important. Onam or Pongal is important. So you have to be careful about that. Similarly, winter weather. You do not know when right now is the rainy season, but you do not know when the rainy season will be over. So if the rainy season is over, then there will be no demand for your umbrellas or raincoats because nobody buys it 1 year in advance. People will think of umbrella again only in the next year June. So these are the factors you need to keep in mind and then build the model. So time series analysis, various time series models, ARIMA, ARCH type of model, machine learning driven models, neural network driven models are used. Then for the external factors, we use various types of regression models, Bayesian regression models, mixed effects models, panel data regressions. And of course, various machine learning methods are also being very useful. We have built support vector machines for forecasting demand. We have used random forest to uh, predict demand for products in certain markets. So yeah, so this is another use case. I think these three use cases I have picked up are quite common and quite interesting.
So, Anshuman, when you talk about all these use cases, right? How important is the knowledge of the business itself for somebody who wants to work in this domain? Is that important, or can some kind of collaboration with experts work? Is domain knowledge important?
No, very, very interesting question. If you ask me, for me, domain knowledge is very, very important. I have never seen a very good analyst or very good machine learning expert who is not who doesn't understand the domain really well.
Mm.
Without a knowledge of your domain or market, you may still build a model, but the model may not be relevant. Your
Right.
model may forecast, from taking example from my previous case, that there will be a huge sale of umbrellas in the month of October, because last year October there was a huge sale of umbrellas. But last year October maybe it was raining. This year October it may not rain. So if this connect is not there, then your models are not useful. And it is
Right.
also very important in every aspect. Think of, say, the Netflix recommendation example I have given. If I do not understand what are the genres of movies and what the people like, if I do not understand what, say, I am targeting a group of uh, who are between 18 to 25. If I do not know what are the current sensations they have, I will be not be able to give the right recommendations. I may not be very much knowledgeable or affectionate about the uh, Korean pop or Korean movies, but the knowledge that people of 18 to 25-year age, they are hooked to that is very important, because then I know that these are the products I have to push.
Right.
Right. So domain knowledge is absolutely important. And that is the reason sometimes I feel that a specialization is also important. Someone who wants to become a data scientist or machine learning expert, uh, one should try to stick to one domain for quite some time.
Right.
Uh, Maybe a few years to maybe a decade. It takes at least a decade to understand the domain. Okay, so if you can, when you are building your career, if you keep a tab, okay, no, I would stick to this domain. I may change job. I may go from one company to another company. I may go from a service provider to the service. I mean, the brands themselves who are consuming the services. But I'll still try to be in the domain. Now, I told about my career, and I left Cognizant and joined Wipro. One of the reason was that I wanted to be in the CPG domain. In the Cognizant, I was working in the VFSI domain, in the credit cards, which is itself very interesting. But I found that after working 2 years, and by that time my career has been 7, 8, or maybe close to 10 years, I'm still a novice. Okay, I know only one part of the credit card business, and I cannot consider myself as an expert. So, and I always have a, fascination or liking about the retail and CPG domain. So that is the reason, one of the reasons that I shifted to Wipro, and I stayed in Wipro because in the Wipro initially I started in retail and CPG and stayed there. Even when I started my company, because of my knowledge or the other people who joined their knowledge, we have only been working in the FMCG retail consumer brands only. So if I look back, so last 20 years I'm in the industry. About 17, 18 years I have spent in the retail and CPG areas. And that's how I probably have built some amount of domain knowledge. And I can talk to a client, I can talk to a business user, and sometimes I feel that I know better than them, just because I have spent so many years over there. So domain knowledge is absolutely very important. If someone tells that no, you should only know the technologies and statistics and methodologies, I am not very sure if you'll be able to make a great career.
Right. Right. So that brings us to another question. For somebody who's a fresher, just graduated,
Mhm.
where domain knowledge is yet to be obtained. So what about them? How can a fresher, I mean, it has to be over a period of time, but what is your take on it?
No, sure. Of course, a fresher will not have any particular domain knowledge. Even when I started, I did not have any domain knowledge. It's just by accident or incidentally I landed up in CPG. Before that, I even did not hear the word CPG. Okay. Uh, so two things. One is that maybe at the beginning you will not have a choice. You get into a domain, but every domain has something very interesting. Every domain has a lot to offer to specialize. Be it healthcare, be it banking, insurance, retail, CPG, digital market, whatever it is, everything has a industrial. for that matter, I would suggest that if you land up in a domain, then try to learn that domain as much as possible.
Correct. Yeah.
And there are various ways to learn. Like the way I learned it, there are various websites and reports comes up about the CPG domain or retail business. I used to read them. Say you are working in the manufacturing domain, then try to learn the manufacturing process. And say you are working for a paints company, then learn how paints market works. Who are the top players? How a paints is manufactured? What are the challenges in manufacturing? Who buys these products? Who sells these products? What are the varieties of the product? And what are the varieties of sales? I mean, you can buy it from this kind of shop or this kind of shop. So try to understand that ecosystem. In today's world, there are so much of knowledge available in internet. There is no reason that one would not be able to learn. Mm, there are certain domains where there are specialized management courses. Like retailers, there are many retail management courses. So maybe you can uh, read a book or a course of basic retail management. Healthcare management, there are a lot of courses. You can follow some basic course and learn. One of the thing I learned for retail is that I just went through a retail management course. I did not appear for examination or certification, but I bought some books. And then I studied over the internet, whatever information are available. So this way, you kind of learn in an academic manner, in a structured manner about the domain. If it is manufacturing, learn about the manufacturing processes. There are even maybe like I know a friend who told that what he did is that he just studied the second year and third year production engineering books. He was an engineer, but not a production engineer. If I remember correctly, he was a civil engineer. So he just studied the production engineering books and he became a production expert to some extent. So these are the ways you learn. Keep your eyes and ears open. Lot of news comes up.
Correct. So basically, what you're saying it is it doesn't matter which domain you are in or which domain you start with. Just stick to one domain and get as much expertise as you can in that particular. It could be mechanical, could be civil engineer, could be anything.
Yes, I mean, if you feel that after 1 year you're or 2 years that you're not liking the domain, then maybe you can think of changing. Or maybe you're like marketing better or sales better, you want to switch, then make a switch. But once you spend a few years in a domain, then try to learn and stick to that.
And maybe too frequent switches also might not be a good thing because then at the end of 5 to 7
Absolutely.
years you'll have no domain knowledge. Again, as good as
Right. And after 7 years, say you are then going to credit cards, you will still be considered as a fresher because you do not know anything about credit cards.
right. And the beauty of analytics and data sciences is that it is applied across every domain. So whichever
Yes.
domain you come from. So I think all the participants that should be one of the lessons you leverage your experience rather than just focusing on shifting from it. You can become a very good
Yes,
data analyst
exactly.
within your own domain.
Yeah, that's a very good way to put that. That leverage. I mean, your domain knowledge itself will become a differentiating skill for the next career move.
Right. There are a lot of questions coming up because you mentioned it 2, 3 times, CPG.
Mhm.
So people are asking, what is CPG? And can you give a case application in CPG
So
retail?
CPG is the consumer packaged goods. Basically, in India, what they call FMCG.
Right.
It's like everyday products that you buy from grocery to hair care, beauty care, home care. All these are CPG products.
Right.
There are a lot of good use cases. I told about the demand forecast, which is a very important use case. Just think of PepsiCo. PepsiCo has so many products, and they have to sell it to some 20 lakh stores in India. So how they ensure that every store they are stocked, they can send the stock in right time.
Right. In fact, one case study that I came across is the Asian Paints. The way
Mhm.
they use data analytics and they have data collected over the last 30 years. The last mile connectivity, their inventory management is so efficient that they're able to their profits and all are very good because they're able to forecast the sales per district, per zone. And that is another very good case. In fact, all of you should read up on that. Asian Paints it was apparently the first company that also bought a supercomputer just to have their data organized. And that is
You'll be happy to note that we have been working for Asian Paints from 2017 onwards. We are
right.
one of their very early partners. CBI was one of their very early partners when they adopted or started the analytics journey.
Right. And Asian Paints, you don't think of machine learning and AI when you think of Asian Paints, right? It is like as far away from these kind of terminologies, but they are one of the biggest consumers of this technology. So domain
They're
really,
across technology, they are very ahead of any of their competition. I have been working with Asian Paints from, as I said, like last 6 7 years. I visited their office so many times in Mumbai. Uh, they are much ahead than any other, and that's why their case studies are publicly available now.
correct. And I think that is one good company, for you to get more use cases. Also, so our program is completely a project-based program, right? We have certain projects that our students do for every module. Probably based on this discussion, they can come up with use cases from their own domains and then use those to practice these technologies. So that can also be a good leverage in your
Yes,
resume.
lot of resources are available. Kaggle gives you a lot of good problems. I'm sure Sruti's team also will have a list of problems. So pick up a problem, pick up a data set, write data set, and solve that problem in your own way. And while doing that, do as much research as possible. There are a lot of resources available in internet. Sruti's team also have very good resources. Use them and build practice apart in our domain, AIML domain, uh, the most important thing is your practice. How quickly or how creatively you can solve a problem.
Correct.
And this is not taught anywhere. That's like by practicing, by analyzing, by discussing with your friends, by reading the case studies only you get to learn. So practice as much as possible. It will, if you practice a project, it will give you confidence on handling data. It will give you confidence on writing programs. It will give you confidence on building models. It will give confidence on how to generate business insights. All four will be done if you practice
Right.
any of the projects.
Correct. So this is why, I read somewhere it says data analytics and data science is not just a science, it's also an art.
Absolutely. From my day one, I mean, when I started my career in 2003, we used to call that modeling is as much an art as it is a science.
Correct. All right. So coming to the next thing, now we have spoken about the possibilities, we have spoken about opportunities, and the kind of case studies and all that exist. What are the challenges that one is likely to face if they want to embark on a data analytics or data science career? And professionally, how can one hedge against these challenges?
So, see, it's a field of opportunities. Opportunities are much bigger in number than challenges. So, don't be worried about challenges. So, what are the challenges one will face, or say people like us have faced? First is that programming, writing codes. I have seen a lot of people who are very good at statistics or econometrics or model building, but they are not they're shaky about writing codes or writing programs. So I'm sure here we have a lot of engineers, etc. But but make programming your friend. No problem can be solved. How much talk we do, how much business insights we discuss, no problem is solved without programming. So make sure that you love programming and you actually can focus on programming. I mean, you can actually write the program required. So some of you may face the challenge, but you have to overcome that. Number one. Number two, AI gradually is becoming multidisciplinary. Say, I come from econometrics background, so this regression, etc., come natural to me. Someone will come from statistics background, he has the basic statistics, advanced statistics, etc., natural to him. But then there are machine learning, There are deep learning methods. So, so it's a multidisciplinary. So, lot of types of methodologies you need to know. And this sometimes you may think it's a deterrent. How many methodologies I need to learn? Sometimes you may bog down. But don't be disheartened by this. But try to learn as much technologies as possible. I have learned support vector machines after 18 years, 17 years of my career. I know even today, not only me, anyone as veteran as me, still we have certain textbooks, etc., on our table because we have to refer them. I do not know. Nobody claims to know all the methodologies. So you have to keep learning. So you cannot stop learning. That okay, no, I have done my statistics masters and I know 20 types of modeling. I'm good now. It's not. There are 21st and 25th and 50th model available in the market. You have to learn that. So that's another challenge you face. Third, about the business, sometimes you may feel I'm not able to understand the business. Of course, there are certain businesses that are very complex. Very few people understand how an insurance business works. I have worked very briefly and I understood that whatever we see as an insurance business from outside are all wrong. Insurance run in a very, very different manner. So learning that could one may find that domain could be a challenge, but still you have to keep learning. There is no option for us. Uh, these are the challenges you will face. The other challenge we keep facing that many clients think of a problem and feel that this problem can be solved using AI or ML. But not honestly, not every problem can be solved. Even if some problem possibly can be solved, they would require certain resources like there is no data or there is no right way of getting the data. And sometimes, so these are the deterrents. So we also need to be knowledgeable that this is the challenge that you have to handle your client. You have to tell the client that this is not possible. Maybe you have to invest more time and money for 6 months to collect the data before we build this model. So these consulting challenges also come quite often in our career. Uh, so yeah, I mean, if you keep your eyes and ears open on these kind of challenges, problems, I'm sure you'll be able to move ahead in your career.
Right.
And ultimately, clients also understand that this is an unsolvable problem. I mean, not all the problems can be solved, or sometimes even if the problem can be solved, the cost of solution may be less than the benefit. So we will not go for that.
Right. So coding, programming, of course, it comes with practice. Even if you have a degree in computer science, a bachelor's, an engineering degree in computer science, if you have not practiced coding, that doesn't mean that you can be a good coder just because you have a degree.
Yes.
So practice is very, very important. Coding will be necessary, but that can be hedged by getting enough practice. So that is something you said. Um, yeah, and I think in terms of learning, this the domain itself is so agile. 1 year ago, everybody was talking about Tableau. Then around 10 months ago, everybody started talking about Power BI.
Hmm.
So the dynamism is so high, the volatility probably, if I may use that word. So continuously learning is not an option. No, it's not a it has to be done, right? So I
Yes.
think these challenges are not major challenges, but something which is part of your everyday job. So that can definitely.
Yes, it's a the career is very rewarding. So challenges honestly looks very small given the reward this career would give you. And not only in terms of money, there are a lot of careers that makes you money. But the satisfaction you get that solving a real problem, a problem that uh, the solution that the business will use, 5,000 people in the business will use, that satisfaction is not available across many other careers. So that is a different kind of satisfaction you will get. And that's why these challenges, you will not feel that these are really a great challenge that will limit any part of your career.
Right. There's one interesting question that has come up. What is the role of cloud technology in data analytics?
Yeah, I also saw that question. Yeah, great question. But see, cloud is everywhere. There is nothing today where the cloud is not involved. And data analytics is also so. But let me take a step back and tell a story. Every machine learning project, every AI project requires a huge amount of computing power. Firstly, there's a huge data. Every project has a very big data, multiple data sets, tables, etc. So that requires computing. And people who are familiar with programming or statistics, they know that every statistical operation requires matrix programming, matrix inverse, and every matrix programming ultimately requires matrix inversion. And matrix inversion means your scale of problem become 2 to the power n. If your data size is n, your dimension of computing becomes 2 to the power n. Very basic thing. So that means it's a huge computing. So every modeling is actually a huge computing requirement. And that is why cloud is there, or analytics has been using cloud from very early on. Today we talk about cloud, but I have been using cloud, deploying or developing analytics models in cloud from 2009. Okay, so 2009 is the first time I have worked in cloud and deployed and built models, because the computing requirements that we have, the local servers were not able to provide. So cloud is everywhere. Today's world, the analytics and AI and cloud has taken a different shape. Like there are certain solutions which are cloud hosted that are coming, like Azure AI, Azure, the whole Azure framework, the GCP, they have these analytics solutions implementations in cloud. Databricks is another technology. So cloud is highly integrated with analytics, but it doesn't mean that you have to be a cloud programmer or extensively knowledgeable in cloud. Cloud is an enabler to me. Okay, as much as you know about your computer, CPU, computing power, CPU, RAM, etc., and how do you manipulate the RAM usage, how do you manipulate the CPU usage. Sometimes when you run a program in server, what you used to do, that we used to make sure that my program runs on all the cores or n minus one core of the server so that it runs faster. So those kind of knowledge are required, not nothing more than that.
Okay.
But cloud is everywhere in analytics. There is no project we are doing or anyone is doing today which is outside cloud.
Right. So basic fundamental knowledge of the practical side of cloud, I think how to just
Yes. How
use.
to use it, how to use a cloud. That's it.
Right. This question has been repeated. You kind of addressed it, but since it's been repeating, I'd like to ask it again. Is it tough for a fresher to get a data analyst job?
No, uh, everyone starts career as a fresher. I started my career as a fresher. Every year, lot of freshers are being inducted in data analytics.
Right.
So absolutely, and there is no reason to think that I'm a fresher not get a job. Nothing like that.
Correct.
Even in a programming career, freshers are taken. They know enough programming? No, but they get trained. So they are, every company you go, every large size company you go as a fresher, they will put you in a training for maybe a month or 2 months, etc. Even in our company, when we still take freshers and put them as interns, sometimes we directly absorb them in the payroll. The first 2 months they go through various training, programming training, uh, business analysis training, etc., Excel training, and then they make a part of project.
Right. So if they come with good fundamentals and show the capacity and the aptitude to learn, I think that is good enough for them to get
Yes,
hired.
yeah, absolutely. And there are a lot of colleges from where freshers are hired, institutes like OdinSchool, people who have studied there, worked, did a course from there. They all get absorbed as freshers. No reason to believe that there is no job for freshers.
Right. Anshuman, this was a great conversation. We are almost towards the end. Any last words of wisdom, any last advice from you to all our students? I think we have 300 plus we kind of crossed.
Yeah, I'm very happy that so many people have joined, and I just wish that I have been able to add some value to their
Definitely,
knowledge.
definitely you have.
My last word would be that this is a very, very exciting career. uh, and there is no rocket science. Long back, someone told that you need to have common sense to solve a problem, which is still true. So don't be afraid that you did not study, you did not do a master's in statistics, or you did not do a computer science master's. Of course, those are valuable, but even if you did not do it, you still, I mean, you don't consider yourself at a disadvantageous position than anyone. There are various career paths. Being a data scientist, being a machine learning engineer, being a data visualization expert, being an AI engineer, being a data analyst, business analyst, various career paths are there. So get into that and keep your mind open. You have to learn. I'm giving you my example. I started with SAS. When I started analytics, the de facto language was SAS. I worked 10 years in SAS. Suddenly, the SAS was not there. Then R came. At the age of 35, I started learning R. I kind of became a master. When I was about 40, R is gone, Python has come. I started learning Python. And I'm not a great programmer in Python even today, but maybe I don't need to write programs for the role I play. But this is the transition. So the first question started, what is the technology we are there in this data analytics or this domain? I said about few technologies. I'm sure if this question asked to me 4 years earlier, my answer would have been very different. If this question again Shruti asked me after 4 years, my answer will again be different. Maybe Python is gone, something else has come. Like R is gone last 2, 3 years ago. SAS is gone 5 years ago. So keep learning new technologies, whatever is coming, new programming languages coming, learn. Keep your keep your mind open. There is no dearth of opportunities. We who run businesses or work for businesses, you know our struggle. We don't get good people. If today I have 20 positions open, I do not have a visibility more than 5 people joining. I do not know what happens to the next 15 positions. So keep your mind open, learn, solve problems. There is this could be a very, very rewarding career.
Thanks.
That's where I would like to stop.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That was pretty insightful. I mean, we covered a lot of things, and I think more than anything else, it was very encouraging and motivating for everybody present here, because most of them are in the career transition stage. And I think the recording of this will be available for all of you on the learning management platform. Please go and listen to this conversation again, because most of the questions that are coming in even now have already been addressed at some stage during the conversation. So I'm sure all of you will get your answers. And this was a wonderful conversation, Anshuman. Thank you very much. We'll come back to you for more sometime
Sure.
later.
Thank you very much, and I wish everyone a great career ahead. Uh, and I'll be very happy to work with some of you in future. I'm sure our paths will cross. And best wishes again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for being a part of this. Srinivas, over to you.
Thank you so much, Shruti ma'am and Mr. Angshuman. It was an insightful session between you two, having all the questions and addressing all of them. So I think they have learned a lot of new things. Yeah, and also, guys, you can go through this recording once again, and we'll meet every once again in next One Talk session. So hope we'll be seeing you again. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Thanks, Anshuman. Bye bye. Have a good weekend, all of you.